Hi everyone, my name is Isabelle, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be sewing the Zoe dress. It comes in two versions. You have the sleeveless version here, finished with bias at the armholes, and we have another version which is with raglan puffy sleeve. So this is the version that we're going to be making today. In this video I'm going to be sewing a miniature version of the dress which looks like this now that it's done. I think it's really cute. The reason is that when you have so much fabric on the camera, it's hard to fit everything in the frame. You can see here the type of closure system that's integrated into this dress. There is no button, no zipper. It's just a tie-up system which makes things kind of easy. The difficulty, however, lies in the fact that you have a lot of fabric to manipulate. For XS, I needed 3.5 meters of fabric if your fabric is 1.5 centimeter wide. And then there is a lot of gathering. It kind of drove me crazy, to be honest. So for this project, I recommend that you take a woven non-stretchy fabric with a nice drape. It could be cotton, kind of any sort of cotton, honestly. It could be linen as well. Double gauze, a lightweight twill. You could do this in organza as well, but careful because organza is a bit transparent. It could be a muslin, a very vaporous fabric would be nice, but you might want to put lining underneath, so it's going to increase the difficulty of the project. If you are new to sewing patterns, please have a look at the introductory video that I made where I answered the most commonly asked questions that I receive in customer service. How to download the patterns on Etsy, how to print the patterns, which software to use, what's the printing format that's adequate for me, which size to print, and so on. That's it, let's start sewing. First of all, let me show you the pieces of the pattern. We have the front here, I already drew the darts, the back bodice, front facing, back facing, middle panels which will be gathered, the pockets that come to the sides, some bias tape for the armholes, some more tape for the ties at the back, finally the bottom panels cut 3 times. All the parts are in miniature size, that's why the bodice is the size of my hand. I did this because it's easier to sew and show everything to the camera. When you have too much fabric on the table, it's hard to capture everything in the frame of the camera. And I forgot to say the facing is backed with interfacing. Starting with the darts, traced on the wrong side of the fabric, I pin the darts. I sew. And I press down. I take the back bodice parts, I pin and I sew at shoulders. I'll finish the edges of the shoulder seam allowance and of the center back. I pin the bias tape and I sew respecting half a centimeter of seam allowance. I wrap the seam allowance. I sew stitching in the middle. So you should get this. Now I'm going to trim the excess fabric. I turn it inwards. And I sew on top. We take some strips to make the ties now. Fold and press down like so. Let's turn the tip and sew on top. Let's take the back bodice, mark the notches if you've lost them like me, pin right sides together, and sew from the notch down. Sew the front and back facing at the shoulder seams. Press open, and I forgot, but you absolutely should do it. Finish the outer edges of the facing. Take the bodice and pin the ties. You want to pin them 1 centimeter from the top edge of the fabric, 1 centimeter being the seam allowance. Then pin the facing right sides together, match the center front, the shoulders. And you want to observe how I do the back facing. So I just stick the seam allowance of the center back out and I sew the facing on it. I trim the seam allowance at the corners and around the neck. Let's understitch now. I press down. I'll top stitch the back facing. Let's take the middle panels. I'm going to gather them, longest stitch length and highest tension. Pin to the bodice and pull to create the gathers. Sew and finish the edges. So the pockets have changed shape in the final pattern. Don't be afraid, it's all just the same steps. I had made a mistake. So first, pin the pocket panels to the back and the front of the bodice, right sides touching. only for the front, cut the fabric where the notches are, as deep as the seam allowance, so 1 centimeter. Just be careful not to cut the seams that you just made. And for the front only again, you fold back and you top stitch. Little break during which I corrected the sleeve pocket shape, so now they're rounded at the bottom. So here's the back, the pockets have not been top stitched, okay? Hop, right side stitching. Pin the pockets, sew all around. You'll have more space here to sew than I have. I'm working with this miniature, so it's kind of narrow. So now the pockets are sewed and they are turned towards the front, all right? You'll sew the sides, above and below the pocket. And after, you sew the pocket to the seam allowance here. Little detail at armpit, you want to top stitch the seam allowance flattened towards the back. My top stitching isn't very clean, I apologize. I'm sure you can do better. Now I take my bottom panels, I'll mark the centers and the quarters, and I gather them. Then I'll sew them together so they form a sort of big loop. I finish the edges, I press the seam allowance down. Let me get the pattern again. One panel, one entire panel from here to here will cover from one side, 2/3 basically, here to here. That's it, that's for the front. Then for the back is going to go from here to here. And for the last one, it'll go this bottom. So the first one covers this, the second one covers this and this in the back, and the last one covers this in the back, okay? All right, everything is right side stitching, and we pin and pull the threads together. I'm done with pinning the first panel. And now all three are done. I'm gonna sew. I pull the threads out, but you don't have to do it if your threads are the same color as your fabric. And I finish the edges. And now you want to try the dress on and check that you like the length of it. In my case, the black version, I actually think that I could have taken 5 centimeters away. If you're happy with the length, finish the edges. And to sew the hem, we're just gonna fold the finished edges twice and sew on top. And that's it. The dress is done. I hope you liked it. If you make it and share it on social, use the hashtag ZoeDIYDress. Take care and see you soon for another project. Kiss!